Good evening, everyone. This is Samuel Lombardo, the Executive Director, CEO of SL Model and Talent Agency LLC, Executive Director of V-Smart, which is a vocational school, models, artists, and radiant talent. The CEO and Executive Director for Lines Publishing and Productions LLC, Suave Dance Studios LLC, and Let Your Light Shine and Unleash the Artist Within. It has been a very, very, very busy day indeed, a very, very busy day. What I want to address in this video, which, by the way, I hadn't really done many sessions on this, and I think that this would be a great time to do it just really quick for those of you that want to know information. It's going to be a very quick video. So what I'm talking about tonight is how you address agreements, the SWOT analysis process, and what we need to do as the entertainment industry to make things legal within your state and local governments, federal government, as well as statutes provided by the Council of the Better Business Bureau, as well as Consumer Affairs, and your regulated business within each state. So what I'm about to tell you is actually, it's a small detail, but it can literally mean the world. And that is contracts. What is the point of the contract? Now, some folks will probably say it is for the betterment of what's the word that I'm looking for whom it benefits for. But the reality is you don't want your business being the topic of the day in an agreement. What you want is your fellow partners, collabs, whatever the case may be, know exactly what it is that they are going to be doing. Because number one, and let's just be frank, so when I write an agreement for SL Models and Talent Agency, yes, there is the part in the marketing portion of my agreement. There will be a part where we benefit from, because we want to be sure that when we're having collaborations with other companies, that they know what they clearly are being defined in their collaborations. Okay? It's a very, very, very important scenario. So it may be that I am going to head a booking division. And so if I'm heading a booking division for a company, let's just say All Stars, Booking Agency LLC wants to collab with SL Models and Talent Agency, and they want me to head the booking, but their executive director may be an agent for their agency. What normally will happen with an agreement like this is we will say that we will accept bookings for your models and or talent. However, what is negotiated is actually what is the agent going to get paid, not the agency. Understand this, that it literally becomes a legal issue with agencies that are trying to have people flirting with the idea of, well, this number, that number, and throwing numbers all around. It should be a number. An agent gets paid something. Now, with that being said, typically, and I have mentioned this to many places, I mean, sometimes you can negotiate it up, okay? And negotiating up would actually mean having the ability that if you actually can book, because here's going to be the thing. Before I do anything with anybody, whether it's an agency that I know or don't know, I need to know where their pro models, emerging artists or whatnot have been booked, and I need to be able to contact the people that are their references so that I would know that they have legitimately been in that booking. Because I don't want to be part of a party that would basically be saying, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and then actually end up, and it's like, it's a benefit for one portion of the team. So we have to be, so when you're writing agreements, you have to look at who all are involved. Now, when I look at agreements with All Stars Modeling Agency, LLC, it's a very easy agreement because we're talking basically about booking. I'm going to be heading their booking department, and then the person that started the agency wants to actually, wants to actually be the agent. And so they are more about educating or whatnot. So what the agreement should really be coming from All Stars Modeling Agency is, here is my details. And I'm just going to say this in plain English, nothing legal or whatever, but it just gives you an idea of what the agreement would look like. First, you're going to address the parties. Now, you got to be clear about who the parties are. Do not confuse it. So, like, for example, All Stars Modeling Agency, I don't want to hear about who's on your marketing team, or, like, if so-and-so is going to be drafting up the next, so-called portfolio program, or whatever the case may be. What I need to know is this agreement is pertaining to Samuel Lombardo with All Stars Modeling Agency. And no, by the way, I'm only using an example. So if this is a real agency, by all means, I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. I'm making it up. I'm trying to give you an example of what it really truly means to have an agreement. So the parties involved would actually be SL Models and Talent Agency, LLC, Executive Director Samuel Lombardo, with so-and-so, Executive Director, All Stars, Modeling Agency, LLC. And then it will actually define some words that perhaps I would not know what you're talking about. So, for example, you better have it clear right in the beginning exactly what it is that this definition is. Now, some folks call this an MOU, but by legal standards, what this is really called, it is called a collab agreement between two parties, two agencies. And they have to be clearly stated as a collab agreement between two parties. And if you are looking for a percentage within a company, it is then considered a partnership agreement with the party. So you have to know the difference between the two. The one is where you're collaborating, and let's just say, for example, the collaboration is that whatever SL Models and Talent Agency brings to the table to All Stars Agency LLC, they're getting a percentage. It's clearly written right in there with the compensation of the business, what they're going to be getting. Not what you want, because what you want has to be addressed by the agreement with SL Models and Talent Agency, which is what a negotiation comes in at. So you have to have a negotiation even with collaborations. So whatever your agency does, now it's okay if you want to bring that up in like a memo is what I would call it, just to make it simple. You could say that this is basically how this agency runs, but that wouldn't even be a clear point of view if you're going to be an agent, because you got to know right from the get-go what you're trying to do. Is your agency trying to be an educated agency where you're going to be building them up, and then you're going to have a booking division? If you're having a booking division with an agency, and it's a collaboration, but you're looking for a percentage, then you need to have a partnership agreement, because that's saying, and that's a much longer agreement. That's basically saying who are all the parties within the actual partnership agreement, and that the first half of it, you're saying that this is the stipulations of All Stars, blah, blah, blah. And then the second half is, this is how SL Models and Talent Agency LLC will benefit from it. So if there is no benefit to the other agency with how these agreements are set up, then there happens to be a lot of confusion. See, now I work with entertainment lawyers, I've already told you this, so I get agreements like maybe once a week from various different places that want to collab with me, and some of them I flat out ignore because it just talks about who they are. It doesn't really show, like, I don't even, there's spots for me to sign, but it doesn't really tell me what the evaluation is, what the benefits of the agency is going to be, because you're talking about an agency now that is going to be heading something, whatever the collaboration is. And so if the collaboration wasn't clear, then unfortunately the agreement will not be clear. If someone is phasing out, and you just kind of knowing from what it may look like, then the agreement really isn't set in stone. So what I always say is you make agreements with the agencies one at a time. That's what I always tell people, because you don't know what the other one's going to be thinking versus the other one. And really, a lot of that could just be confidential. Like, for example, my agreement with, All Stars Agency LLC may be that it may just simply be that the agent of the All Stars could get 10% if they're doing the booking. But the reality would be that if SL Models and Talent Agency was doing the booking, then SL Models and Talent Agency has its fees set up, and we really don't have but one fee, which is the agency fee. That's how we make our money. Okay, we could bring people to other agents who want to educate and train. But an agent's not the agency. Do you understand what I'm getting at? So that would then be two agreements. One would have to be a memo. A memo would actually be what it is that is your responsibility to an agency, not the other way around, not how it's going to benefit you having the other agency, because it confuses the one that's actually reading it, and then you got like 14 other names. Like, I mean, what is happening with one team member may not be the same thing as what's happening with another team member. And here's another thing that can be a little tipsy and could actually turn out to be illegal when it comes to entertainment law, and that is mocked agreements. What does that mean? Mocked agreements is, well, this is how this agency runs, so if you agree to this, then we could collaborate. Well, now you just put yourself to a situation where if I were to share this agreement, which any agreement that I have, I share it with an entertainment lawyer. Why? Because I want to be sure that SL Models and Talent Agency is running in the guidelines of the law, and that whatever I'm going to talk about is legitimately getting put in by the legal standards, not just because I'm looking to for a helping hand in some other way or trying to benefit myself. Usually, your collaboration agreements are focused on one person at a time. Meaning, let's say Sally, Sue, and Tom work for me, and Sally's in charge of marketing. Sue's in charge of the technical situations of the agency, and then Tom happens to be an agent. If I turned around and emailed everybody an MOU for a collaboration that's going to address every other single name in it, with line signatures from every other person, but my collaboration is, say, with All Stars Agency. Right there, I become confused even before I'm trying to read it. Why? Because I'm trying to figure out right from the beginning. Because in the beginning, it's like your thesis to anything that you write. You're writing the definitions, you're writing about what this agreement is about, and you want somebody to sign it because you're hoping to have a clear, conscious idea of what you're signing. But then you read further, and it's like Tom, Sally, and Sue is written down in there, and it's like, whoa, hold up, wait a minute. So right away, and then I don't even get to see my name in All-Star contract until it says, all right, so-and-so can sign here. Okay, so what is there for me? If there's nothing for me, then there's no reason to sign. Am I right? Or perhaps maybe I'm lacking in some part of my education here that I'm not sure about how these agreements work. I mean, I talk about contracts more than I actually talk about the agency and entertainment period. But this is a big topic because there's a lot of people, like entertainment law is literally 5 years to a decade but past due on what needs to happen in this industry. And then you have others who don't have any idea what is happening within the industry because there's a lot going on behind closed doors. So people think, oh, this is a scam, that's a scam, and the other thing. But besides all of that, they have a right to know that, or a right to claim that, because they honestly don't know what is actually happening. And if you're not clear about what is actually happening, it makes the matter even worse. So let me just simplify the whole thing. If I'm going to have an MO for SL Models and Talent Agency, and by the way, anybody that has a collaboration or a partnership agreement with another agency or any business whatsoever, and you have an MOU attached to it or a memo attached to it, the memo needs to match what the collaboration is. If it doesn't, and there was no signification whatsoever about what you were writing in there, then you have even more of a problem, especially when it comes to the dignity and integrity of what is spoken. So that means it calls for reevaluating to find out where the actual purpose is for all of this. So, for example, the memo just would address things that are important, like, okay, so here's the partnership agreement, or here's the collaboration agreement. You might define it a little bit in there, but you don't even have to do much to it. It's mainly for understanding your competence level, confidentiality, making sure that whatever is regulated within the agency that is addressing the collaboration, that you are following specific guidelines pertaining to that, okay? But both parties have to have a memo. So, like, for example, if All Stars has a memo of saying this, and this, then SL Models and Talent Agency LLC must have a memo that literally it literally complements what that memo is saying. But it's going to be based off of the original agreement, which the agreement would have to be what is the purpose for SL Models and Talent Agency, and even if you were to say something like, oh, it's to collab, you got to know what you're collabing about, or it's just wasted time and symbols on paper. So if the collaboration is that you want a stronger booking experience with a national agency, then that means that you will have to abide by the guidelines of that national agency, not making up your own rules to substitute how it's going to be for somebody else. You're asking for somebody else to come in. Okay? Now, I'm just going to use a short, simple example. So, if it was All Stars Agency LLC that wanted to collab with SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, the first questions that they ask, or what they want to know, is what is the guidelines of SLMTA. And then the same question appears with me. I would want to know what the guidelines are there. Why? Because the first thing that has to happen is you have to figure out how to get rid of the conflict of interest. So if you're writing a memo like another agency is working for another agency, when in reality the collaboration is with the agency, but you're actually speaking to the executive director of the agency, the reality is that we are not actually trying to work for you. We are trying to collab with you. They are two different things. Like, unless you're actually planning on paying me something to do what you want me to do at this, made up example that I'm saying, if All Stars was planning on paying me to do the work that I'm doing, like actual paying me, not trying to say it's commission and this and that and like other made up scenarios. But if you're saying that I'm going to be heading a certain specific thing, then I need to know from that agency, what is it for me? But if you're asking for an agency to be able to book pro models from All Stars, then you're not writing the memo as if an agency's working for you. You're going to write it as a partnership agreement to where the agency and you know exactly how far you're going, so there is no conflict of interest. Because there is nothing, I will not agree to anything that is going to stop me from doing what SL Models and Talent Agency decides to do in the process of expanding. Meaning I could go to California now. I've had an agreement from California one time, and I told them that unfortunately I don't think that this is going to work. And here's one of the reasons why. When they wrote the agreement, they wrote it as if they wanted me to take charge of something. But then they were like, well, you're not able to move your agency into this area or take any, models or whatever the case may be. And I was like, that's usually like if you're hiring somebody. Do I actually have an employment application? Did I have an employment agreement with this company that I wasn't aware of? So I started getting confused, and then the more that I was talking, because I wanted to settle the disinterest and the conflict of interest right at the top, and the more that I went into it, and the more that they were like, well, things like, oh, I thought you knew that it was going to be. No, I told you exactly how it's going to be. And by the way, FYI, I also had told this place in California 5 times about what they are doing that is unlawful to the entertainment industry. And they have blindly decided that they were just going to disregard what I said instead of working with me. And then I reported them, and I'm just waiting for the next reaction to take place. Why is this? Because I am not here to settle down on people's wishes and wants to push under the rug scenarios that people just feel that it is right to do. You need to find out what your rights are before you could just push it under the rug and assume that it's okay to do it. I mean, there's so much, believe me, I'm right on target with some of you guys. Like, I would like to do a lot more, but I have to register 15 other companies to do what I really wanted to do. Not because I'm thinking of 15 things at one time. They're all collaborated projects to make SL Models and Talent Agency LLC bigger than what it just simply is. But I have to go by strict guidelines. And yes, there are people, I mean, if you're going to run your company as a scam, it's a scam. There is no, I don't care how you want to put it. You could define it that, no, you need the investment like this, or you're going to be doing it like that, whatever. No, if you're going to run your agency as an agency, as a booking agency, and you're expecting them to sign doing this, and this, and they're all upfront costs. First of all, you have a conflict of interest with any union member right off the top. So anybody that's sitting there trying to say, oh, well, I've worked with George Clooney, or I've been with Tom Cruise, or whatever, let me just tell you right now, there are contacts that you can actually figure it out. If there's an agency out there that's doing that, you can research those contacts and ask the agents that are working with these folks and see if George Clooney actually went to a convention in his lifetime where he got picked up by them, or how did they actually know to pick them up. Because that is the bottom line that I'm getting at. I'm getting at the point where I'm getting rid of the garbage and we're going to start up fresh. And that is basically what SL Models and Talent Agency LLC does. Whether it's intentional or non-intentional, or unintentional, excuse me, it is very important that you know what the law requires for entertainment agencies. Now, there are, okay, for example, I have researched this with Virginia, Delaware, and Michigan, because SL Models and Talent Agency LLC is expanding in these areas, whether it's collaboration or whatnot. And one of the things that I have researched is that while it's not necessary to get a license to be a licensed agency, say in Virginia, if you are charging any costs for specific things and you are calling it specific things, like say calling it a school or whatever the case may be, you must have the license to be able to qualify yourself and have that particular program, or you're going to have to showcase somehow how you came up with that. And if you were in the industry for 60 years, you would have to have documented that you would have to send to the regulated business of those states, showing that you are actually documented 50, 60, 70 years experience. Okay, and that way then, that eliminates all the garbage of, you know, this, and this. If you just have to be real. Like SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, when we spoke with the Better Business Bureau through our process of actually getting accredited in the state of Michigan, there were little things like the leading versus a leading. Just two little particles mean a whole line of difference in discussion. So if you're saying that you have these experiences, that you have, say, 50 years of milestone, then showcase it. Put the proof out there. Say like 1970, you know, I've done that. It's 1960, I've done that. Like this agency's been like blah, blah, blah. Because all I have to do is just go right into the registry of the state. And I can find out the date of how long that business has been in existence. It's as simple as that. I mean, come on, folks. Now, if you were in the industry, that's one other thing, but then I would probably want to know, just like anybody else, I would like to know who have you actually worked for and with. I mean, there's just no way around this, folks. I'm a very, very strict, when it comes to law anyway, I am very, very strict. I could be a bit aggressive sometimes. I'm sorry for that, but I'm trying to make it right for the people that are out there. Because here's the thing: nobody's getting paid nothing unless we get it right. So if All Stars is going to sit there and say, "Well, I want to focus on education," then just call it All Stars Education Services LLC. All you have to do in that case is do a memo to the state regulated business or wherever you do your business to tell them that we're running as like this, or this. We're not actually an agency. But if you already have something where it's like, say, All Stars International, well, you could pretty much change that in any way that you want. But a lot of times, and this is where people are getting it mixed up, if they find out that you're running as a booking agency and you're going against the guidelines of the booking agency, even if you don't need a license, it could get reported and you would definitely end up losing your state registration. So it's very important. So if you're doing something like All Stars International, right, then it's very easy. All you have to do is just change up your programming. Keep your programming the way it is. Now, let's say that All Stars finally believed what I said, right? Let's just say that out of curiosity, they finally got what I was saying. And they say, okay, I'm going to change it. So this is what's going to happen. The collaboration should sound something like this, if you're going to collab. So I'm going to start a program platform where I'm going to be teaching classes, and I'm going to be, I'm going to be building brands of models, and this is the type of models that I want to work with: fashion runway, petite, chic style, whatever the case may be, right? And then you're basically saying, so, Samuel, I don't have the time at all to book. And I want to have the representation of like some kind of a career center or something with what I'm doing. Is it possible that, okay, you keep SL Models and Talent Agency LLC running the way that you normally do, and then I could be your agent since I helped build them up? I can take my general 10% and it will be taken from the artist. So the artist would already know that where they were educated, that the person could also be an agent. There hasn't yet been anything, and I even asked an entertainment lawyer about this. And I've also asked people in regulated business, state registration, well, they know minimum anyway, but like regulated business for like employment agencies and etc. Because if you are charging upfront fees and you're trying to be an agency, you do actually still need a license. It's just going to be considered an employment agency because some of them do charge fees. If you are not charging a fee, meaning that you're doing like SL Models and Talent Agency LLC is doing, where they're charging a 20% agency fee and a 10% agent fee, comes from the work that the artists are doing, you could collaborate with the artists and say, hey, look, here is my collaboration with Samuel Lombardo, Executive Director of SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, a national agency, is going to be booking for you many things. And me as your agent who was helping to build you up or whatever the case may be, you can negotiate how you want to do it. If you want to do 10%, 15%, but just know that my agreement is going to say that you're taking that from the artist, not the agency, the artist. Now the collaboration comes in where you may want other models that you can train. So then I start advertising and you give me permission to be able to showcase your photos of you and your work, your video, your flyers, all that fun stuff. And then you have sign-up sheets and agreements to the whatever platforms and programming that you have. Boom. Then typically what I usually say, and it is true, SL Models and Talent Agency LLC typically requests 30% commission from any particular project. Now, if you want to negotiate up, like say if you're one of those that are generous and want to do 50-50 or 40-60, that's fine, but it would never go below 30. And here is why. We want to be sure, because our work is about booking. We're not trying to turn ourselves into education. We will broadcast it. We will help mobilize you. You know, that's what a real collaboration is. And then all you simply have in that compensation packet is, okay, SL Models and Talent Agency LLC agrees to 30% commissions on each sale that is made to, you know, All Stars International, you know. In that case, now we have a collaboration. And you could even collaborate even in a more succinct way. Not to steal ideas from people. Like I have given an idea for a particular name that I already have regulations for. Okay? And that will actually help in the process of me actually collaborating with someone who wants to have a model guild. Well, I found out that the person wants, or the company wants to do the model guild, so now it's just a matter of implementing what the regulations are already set in space, but also negotiating what the regulations already are so that I can implement models into it, because at one point it was just American National Guild of Performing Arts. Now it's going to be the other way, but then there's going to be a signatory program involved with it, and I want to make it work to the unions, which means that we cannot be sitting here trying to play around with numbers. We need to focus on where the collaboration is. The only numbers that you need to focus on is what the different memberships are going to be and what is the qualifications to be a member. You want to be sure that you're actually getting real people in these memberships. Now, this might sound like I'm actually talking to a particular company. If it is, I'm sorry, but I don't bring names. I try not to bring names into things, even in my samples, when I am discussing information, okay? And what I mean by information, I'm talking about I'm actually giving everyone a lesson on what it really needs to sound like to be a collaborator. All right, if you're going to be a singer and songwriter, you could be the singer, but you need someone to write music because, I don't know, let's just say you had writer's block and you're just curious to sing someone else's music. then your collaboration is going to actually be almost similar to like you're doing an agent's job. Like you're going to have to write an agreement. That's actually a real agreement where you're going to have to sit there and explain like what's going to happen with the producer, what's going to happen at live performances, what your royalties will be versus mine, and what's going to happen with publishing. But if you actually don't know anything at all about this, you may want to take my, oh man, I just wrote it. You're going to need to take my Production Law 101 class. Because you want to be sure that you're going to have your collaborations correct. That was really the main reason behind why I wanted to do this video. Because I have noticed that many of my friends want to collaborate, singer, songwriter, producers, and etc. But you have to be careful because people are sneaky. Some people don't know what a memo is versus what an agreement is, and others don't know what the difference is between collaborating and partnering. I mean, it really sickens. And maybe I need to actually do a class on Contract Law 101. Maybe that's what I will do. You know what? Let me write that as a note. I think that I really do need to do that, and I can actually have a few of my entertainment lawyers involved in that class, because this is very important. You need to know what you are doing in a business at all, because this is really going to, I hate to say this is going to really show your true colors, whether it's intentional or unintentional. Like, you may know about fashion design and what a model could do, but then when it comes to writing up agreements, boy, you could really look sour, and it could really look bad. So what you want to do is you want to be able to know what contract law is. What do you actually put in a contract that you want somebody to sign? Okay, a memo, you're not normally signing anything. So if somebody's trying to tell you, oh, this is just a memo, but you can sign here, just tell them to blow smoke, because it doesn't even make any sense. A memo is not a signing document. An agreement is. Okay. I'm just going to be straightforward and blunt. A lot of what I've been telling you, I'm telling every one of you, whoever is watching these videos. It is very important that you understand contract law and how to even write a contract, let alone, because first of all, number one, a memo is not a contract, okay? Let's just leave it there. A memo is not a contract. When you write a confidentiality agreement, that is where the person signs. Why? Because you are agreeing that pertinent information that is being shared by both parties. So in fact, even with SL Models and Talent Agency LLC, once the collaboration or partnership is fully understood and signed for, SLMTA would also need to have everybody in that party sign a confidentiality agreement. Why? Because we're going to be learning from both type of businesses to an extent. I'm not saying that it will have to be everything, but if you're looking at booking, sometimes I may represent in a way where I could share a client, but at the most case, that is not what we are trying to do here. What we are trying to do here, or what my hope is if I'm going to collaborate with anyone or partner, is that everybody, every agency out there knows that we are collaborating to head the booking division, meaning that All Stars International could actually be able to do what it wants to do and not worry about the booking. You know what I mean? And then when it does come down to, because you also got to have the agreements of like who is responsible for what and how is that going to be and all this. Like when I start reading confusion statements of, well, this is my tech person, this is my social media person, and this and that, it's like, okay. So are they expected to sign this thing too? Because I'm confused. So this is a memo. So I don't, that's what I was having an issue with, even with an agency that wanted to collab for booking purposes, and I flat out told them exactly what SL Models and Talent Agency does. But it wasn't fitting their agenda. They were looking at trying to take over what SLMTA already does and then trying to make it their own as if I'm an employee to them. And I was like, that I won't sign. I'm sorry, I just won't sign it. That's not what we are about. We are about true service to models and artists. I will not do anything illegal like that, because then it turns out to be, it really does turn out to be an ugly argument in the court of law. And as a matter of fact, the court of law could even trash it. Why? Because you're actually proving right there what you basically did. And then you also are forcing someone, and I've just talked about this, about the convention, how this one particular convention is trying to set up territories. Or no, I'm sorry, has already set up territories and says, well, you cannot do open calls or any kind of services in the Chattanooga area because we already have an agency that does it. It would be a conflict of interest. It would be one thing if I was actually like employed by the agency and then I went ahead and actually started my agency, but this already exists. Therefore, you've already lost that shot. And then I decided not to join with that convention because of that particular situation. Well, actually, it was a little bit more than that, because besides me deciding, they decided to shun me anyway, because whatever the reason may be. But I have SL Models and Talent Agency LLC has its way of working, and we benefit the artist and the model, not other agencies that are either ran intentionally or unintentionally illegally. So get your act together. Know how to write contracts. Get them flowing perfectly. Have no confusion in there. Okay, when I'm reading a contract, because a lot of times, I'll look at the contract and then I'll just sit and laugh at it, and then it'll just go into the junk mail or delete. Because I don't have time to try to read through the garbage. That is gonna, that would be wasting my time. Um, I'm willing to book anybody from any agency that there would be a collaboration with, but the collaboration must be to benefit. In reality, it must be a mutual benefit. And mutual benefit basically means that it's not just about one place doing one thing. It's about what the responsibilities are going to be between both and the mutual agreement of where the monies are coming from, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, if it is just a simple collaboration, I could collaborate with the idea of you can make up to 15% depending on the job, but you will be getting that money from the artist. That has nothing to do with the SL Models and Talent Agency contract. So if we're going to be doing the booking, I'm not signing something that's going to show, because that's not how an agency actually runs. It isn't. The legal way how it runs is an agency has an agency fee, and then the agent within the agency gets a commission once the job has been completed and has been paid for, and the artists already know. So if an artist is most experienced artists know that they're going to be paying their agent when they get paid, and it usually gets paid to the agency first, and then agency divvies up the money appropriately. So if I'm going to have an agreement when it comes to booking, it's more or less a partnership. It's, okay, this is how this is going. When I collaborate, though, I'm collaborating on particular projects that are happening that you would like to, that you would actually like some growth into. That's the difference between a collaboration and an actual agreement. So with SL Models and Talent Agency, the conflict of interest would be that an agency would be telling us what we should be telling our clients to pay for their artists to be able to be booked. When that stuff happens, we actually have to report that, because that is illegal. It is illegal to regulated business and the Council of Better Business Bureaus. So you do not want to do that. You want to be, if you are doing a collaboration with an agency where you want a national agency to actually book your pro talents and models, then what you're going to do is you're going to negotiate with your artists and models that you have on your roster and let them know that you as an agent is going to get paid this, this, or this. Now, what you do in your own agency outside of the agreement is between you and the artist. So the artists are like, yeah, sure, 25% of my pay, blah, blah, blah. They'll be okay with that because they signed that agreement. That's between you and that agency. But as far as the collaboration with SL Models and Talent Agency is concerned, it is very simple. You get a percentage as an agent for providing the booking individuals, because we do consider you as an agent, okay, in the collaboration of the agency. And that is how it's defined on a legal term. Now when it comes to the, that would be the partnership, and then the collaboration would be, well, this is how, I'm looking for like this, this, or this. Here's some agreements, signatures. We're going to, we want to broadcast and we want to expand our platforms, whatever the case may be. That is a whole different thing. Then we could talk about a collaboration, as long as it does not talk about me. If you're going to hire me, then I expect to be paid. But all I really want to know is the details of the responsibility of the collaboration, and then what's my commission, if it's going to be based off of that, or what will my pay be. Now, I know I'm sounding aggressive here, like, oh, why is it just about money? Folks, let me explain something. Contract Law 101 is all about that. It is about what are the responsibilities, who are you involving yourself with? Okay? Now, so then the memo would then collaborate with the two agreements. That's when I could be like, oh, okay, so that's why so-and-so is the marketer of this, and so if we need to do something and we have something to prepare, we could just send it to the marketer for agreement. Okay, so now she's in charge of what can go out and what doesn't go out, or, you know, then I can see how to communicate, because that's really what a memo is. Like, how to communicate with the executive team of that particular business that wants to do the collaboration and or partnership with SL Models and Talent Agency, but never write a memo as if it's an agreement. Confidentiality agreements are a separate thing. Marketing agreements are separate as well. They are not the same. And also, memos are not agreements, so I wouldn't sign a memo. I would just read and brush through it and then say, you know, I may have questions, but that's usually how I react to memos. Other than that, the idea is really to know where businesses fit, and if there are differences coming out of this, then you need to address them so that you know exactly how you can get rid of the conflict of interest right up front. And if the conflict of interest is related to an illegal action, then I still, because not only am I faithful and that I keep the integrity for what I do, but I'm also real. So now I start ending up reporting places, because enough is enough with people trying to hijack other people's plans or ideas, or trying to establish an empire of the wrong mean. So you better know how to write contracts in a legal fashion. And I say you better, right? Well, whatever. Anyway, yeah, you better know how to write legal contracts in the right way. I mean, you don't want to ruin such a good thing. See, like, I could be sitting there thinking, okay, All Stars wants me for they want a national agency to be able to book their talent. That is actually a partnership agreement. Why? Because the minute that you say that you want something that another agency is going to do, then the benefit actually turns over to the partner. But when it comes to a collaboration, it is two things that people have in common. It is projects or whatever the case may be with two people or two companies that have the same idea in common. And therefore they can collaborate in the way that they want to. And that would mutually benefit both people. That is an appropriate agreement when it comes to collaboration. The partnership, however, there is no such thing as collaborating on the fact that can you just think of how this sounds? Can you imagine what this would sound like? I already have established clients. I actually do. And they know that it's 20% agency fees. Sometimes, depending on the project, it may have to come out of the artist's pocket, right? But then we are even willing to actually just pay the agent within the agency to actually, so that I know that they're getting paid their 10% or perhaps 15% depending on the pricing. But can you imagine if let's go with the original example that I was giving you with All Stars International. If I went back to my clients and said, okay, so now if you do it like this, it's going to be 25%. On top of that, you're going to have to pay the agent there. So what they're going to say is, I don't care, it's $1,500, figure out from the artist what you want to do. And then let us know what's going to happen. That's what they would be saying at that point. And then what I'm going to have to do is, if that was the case, is let them know, hey, this is the guidelines of All Stars International. I have no control over it. They already know that they were paying the 20% plus up to the agency, meaning to SLMTA. So if you're talking about 15% for this and 25% for that and this and that, then that's going to have to be between you, that when the artist gets paid, that the artist knows that that's what they're getting paid. The difference. See, because I'm not going to be stealing any money from the artist at all. And when I say stealing, that's not really what I mean to say. But it almost would seem like it, because, you know, agents and agencies, they can be very tricky. What happens is if there's an agent out there with an agency that has already dictated prices of whatever on top of everything else, they're going to have to work that out when you get paid as an artist. Because that's the only legal way that could be done. It cannot be taken from SLMTA. SLMTA is already gotten, you know, we already got our fixtures. Like, we know that certain amount of money up to a certain amount, and then a plus up and this and that. Like for example, if it's a low budget modeling photo shoot of say $100 to $200, we basically don't even upcharge it 20%. We would do a 10% on that. Now, if it was one of our models, we wouldn't actually even charge it at all. Our agent that would be in the booking process of that, or should I say myself for right now, and then I do have two other agents that I want to train, they would actually get paid the 10%. So there are areas now, if it's over $2,000, then we look at a per budget, per capita. So that's a whole different thing, because I actually run as an actual, like, I'm trying, first of all, I am going to be very clear once again, I'm trying to get in with the unions as a signatory, so I want to run my agency the right way, okay? And with that being said, with all of the confidence that I do have, and all the abilities that I can do and more expansion to the pro models out there, you can be hooked up with other agencies as well. What happens is, what we normally do is we become an agent, not the agency, when you are being booked through another agency. Why? Because it's the only legal way to make it happen. Can you imagine if I'm going to say to them, oh no, I want my 20%, and then you're also going to take the 30%, you're going to minus 25%, and the artist or the model ain't going to get nothing by the time it's all said and done? No, that would literally be that would be a worse scam than trying to say, okay, I'm going to show you how to get to a convention. You're going to do this, 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 and this, and then sign here at the dotted line. And then you got to hope and pray that they will stick around with you long enough that a national agency would actually consider them ready. Now, luckily for me, I'm an opportunist. So I will go through the process with the assumption that the artists are ready. But it's really going to be about what the client wants. I mean, that is really the bottom line of what happens here. So when, let's just say that you want to model in Paris, you would get with like IMG models or something, right? Well, the agency already has its set thing. The agency is already doing what it's doing, and we're going to have a collab with this particular model that they would want, and that they are ready to actually start modeling in Paris, France, okay? They would then take the minute they get booked, they get whatever the agency is getting, but the artist or the model already know, so I am then become their agent. That is legal. There's nothing against that. And that's why a lot of agencies will do that. I mean, I was trying to research why is this illegal, and that doesn't make any sense. Now I actually figured it out, because when I talked with 3 entertainment lawyers, big ones from New York, they literally had told me how that goes. Because you would even have like those that are contracted through SAG to be franchise signatory agencies, right? They still have the same thing. They're not charging a fee up front. They're just basically saying, that's my artist. They got booked, and so, you know, I'm going to get paid. Because that is what they did. That's where your third-party agreement actually sits at. That's the mutual benefit that this agency actually now gets another pro model, and that now you can also get paid. And it could be whatever the case may be. With me, it just happens to be very simplified math. 10-15% depending on the scenario of the job. We don't really have any other fees associated with us. And that's why we can book in various degrees of individual clients. And now that clients are hearing this, they are more prone to actually work with us, with SL Models and Talent Agency, because we don't have any of this other confusion going on. We just simply building a roster, and we got talent that's ready. So if you are, you know, I don't even like to call it an agency, but I don't know any other way of saying it right now. I mean, you really need to change up your game in this case with relations to the law. But if an agency is going to build up talent and they want national agencies to take those pro talents and models out and get booked, then I think that that is actually where the partnership should be. Otherwise, you're kind of just stuck right there in your mushy spot where you're at. So you don't want to turn around and think that just because I'm being a little bit aggressive of where you should be at with your contracts, that it is necessarily not good to partner with me. If anybody, any professional does see this video, I'm just telling you that I'm weeding out the garbage. And that this stuff could be so much more simpler. You're not an agency if you're not actually doing the booking. If you are doing booking, then at the very least, if I'm getting ready to actually send out pro models and talent, then there needs to be references as to what they have done. I keep repeating it over and over and over again. But if you're going to, I will say this, if you are going to head a booking division to expand it, for example, first of all, I would even leave that part alone because you're already one step against the law already inquiring to be an agency when you are having these other things happening in the agency. So anyone that's doing this would need to know that it requires you to do a little bit more work and research. You're going to have to qualify yourself to legitimately say, okay, yes, I legitimately had 50 years experience. This company's been here for a milestone of, 60 years. This is who we actually had. Out of 50 years, this is what our roster looks like. And so they have done this, and this. And then what will happen is when it comes to me, that national agent, I would be saying, I need 5 references from each of your pro models and talent. And what I would do is I would contact the references to find out if such and such had happened at such and such a date at this particular location. Because we do reference a lot to make sure that we are not dealing with a bunch of bull crap, and I'm just going to say that bluntly, all right, that we want to be straightforward with the people whom we are serving. So, in other words, I want the best for everybody in this industry, but I also want everybody to understand the reality of how this industry works. And I'm doing it little by little because, I don't have a big subscription rate going on right now or watch hours for the videos here on the YouTube channel. But once the word gets around, hey, look at this. Like, this person really knows what he is saying here and how things work. Because even when I teach arts administration, I don't just say, all right, students, you got an A, you know how to write a business plan. The first thing I'm going to ask is, do you know the legalities to be able to get that business started? because I want to know that when you get done here, that we're not just going to be sitting there going right back to what it was before, where I'm starting an agency, but you're running it as a school. A school and an agency are two different things, and therefore you could get an F on your business plan, especially if you don't listen to me, because I would need to know if you actually know what you are doing with your business. The idea is to actually, and believe me, I don't give A's easily anyway. I've never gotten A's easy either. I had to go through tutoring sometimes and everything. And even then, even after the fact, I still had to take it upon myself to actually talk to people outside of school to get where I'm even at today. Well, in the doctoral program, it was a little bit more administered. But I knew what my big focus was. And by the end of it, I wanted to get this up and running, and that's where I'm at. Because everything is focused on this. Like my dissertation is all about weeding out the trash from illegal companies, and that they understand truly the smooth awakening skills of the entertainment industry. It doesn't have to be 10 years backed up of legalities. We can really make it work if we actually, I'm not going to sit here for another 2 hours to talk tonight, but the thing is that just know Contract Law 101. A memo is not a contract. Okay. Marketing contracts are different from confidentiality agreements. And collaboration is different from partnering. Collaboration is mutually agreed. Companies or individuals who have a mutual understanding of what they want to do. A partnership is basically stating that I'm taking a piece of my company, okay, and that's what you basically would be doing. Because you cannot actually find, I can't really say it that way, but using agency to agency, for example, if I'm a national agency, and then there might be a local agency somewhere, and if they are wanting, and this even goes with me going to a convention, I would be letting that agency know before I even talk to the prospective model or artist. Hey, look, this is how this third party agreement works. You are actually letting go. The one thing that you're letting go is the 20% that the agency would get, because you're not the worker of that booking. However, because you might have built that brand for that person or whatever the case is, you are considered an agent to the artist that had originated the work that they wanted to do in the begin with. Therefore, you would be not getting the agency fee as if you were doing the booking, but you would be getting paid by the artist or model during that time. And that would have to be whatever it is that you mutually agree with those pro models and or artists. Like I could tell you what it could be. Generally, it's 10 to 15%, but it should be nothing else more. And then if they are booked directly through the agency, through that local agency, then I can understand why you have like 25% for this and 30% for that, and 5% for gas or whatever the case may be, because that's telling me, okay, this is how this agency works. Gotcha. Because it could work both ways. If someone from, say, New Jersey, doesn't want to do anything but local work, then I can turn around and just be like, okay, All Star International LLC, here you go. Um, we have someone that signed with us. Now I become the agent to that person, but whatever is set up with the agency fees, with the bookings that are going on in New Jersey with that agency is that way. But you know, with me, I would get the 10% every time that that person got booked. So it goes both ways. It's a mutual agreement that does nothing more or less for any other person than the other one. And collaboration is usually where you're affiliating yourself with someone with mutual understanding and agreement to build projects or whatever the case may be. And yeah, you may need some memos regarding that when you are speaking with someone. But a lot of times that would be like if somebody, you know, if, okay, I'm collaborating now with Cameo Models, right? However her company is structured, I would need to know how that is in order to tell prospective artists and models of my roster that I would be getting if they wanted to do local work with a local agency, meaning Cameo Models from Richmond, then her guidelines are set up in that way. Like, I cannot control what her guidelines are for her company. Just like she wouldn't be able to control how SL Models and Talent Agency works. So when we collab, what happens is, like, I get a piece of information from her, you know, explaining everything in a memo, and then it would be the same thing that would happen with me. I have to do that very same thing. It cannot be one way, because if it's a one-way agreement and the parties did sign, guess what? One can almost legally take advantage of the other, because you're basically saying, all right, you know what you're doing. I'm gonna just go ahead and it'll be that way. But SL Models and Talent Agency LLC already has everything in place as to how the national agency is going to work. So we, unfortunately, would not be able to add anything with our clients, but I wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, it's up to the other agency if they wanted to do it that way, because I mean, legally speaking, it can be done. If they wanted to run it as a right agency, I mean, I can't tell anybody what to do about a particular agency. All I can really try to say is, this is where you might want to focus a little bit, and understand more about, because it's not about just knowing who you know in the industry, and it's not even all about what you know. It is about knowing how to get around in this industry. I'm going to be very honest with you with that. Because we can all have beautiful smiles. We all can have the most meticulous view and look. I mean, we could be the most funniest person, the most deliberated person, aggressive, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. You can have the most sexiest style out there. but it doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to get around with it. That's why, see, and that's why that was one of the biggest issues that I found about this one agency out there in California that was trying to collaborate with me, because it was all about them. There was nothing in there about me. Even in the memo, it was like, well, I'm going to head this and I'm going to do that and I'm just sitting there like, okay, go ahead and do it all then. You don't really need me. What are you trying to collaborate on then? Doesn't make sense, does it? If you're going to do everything, then why do you need to collaborate? Just, I'm sorry to say it that way. That's just wasting time there. So it does get a little tricky. And so what happened was, by the time I got through everything, it was almost as if he wanted me to sit there and literally book all of these pro models, so he calls it, okay? And I could even tell you a little bit about that too, but you know, it's already confidential enough. I'm just basically giving an example of what I will not do. I'm being told that I need to go and talk to my clients about what their fees are. So you know what I ended up doing is I ended up, before I even reported it, I was like, you're not affiliated in any way with so-and-so, right? I had to actually investigate because this didn't seem right. And then if there was anyone that I would have known that they were affiliated with, which I clearly had doubted and there wasn't, I was like, okay, so this person's taught about pro talent and doesn't even have pro leads. Man, I don't know if I even wanted to collaborate anyway. I would have gave him the benefit of the doubt if he would have gave me something tangible. So that's why it is very important to get the conflict of interest out of the way first. Because if your number one conflict of interest is that you're going to say that you're heading this, you're heading that, and this and that, and my conflict of interest is simply this, you're going to have to figure out from the audits how you're getting paid, but I know how this agency runs. It's not an ego issue. It's just the way that it is. It's the legal issue, not an ego issue. It's a legal issue. It's like, if you want, it's like, it's, this person made it seem as if I actually knew everything about what I'm doing, which I do, and then wanted to just hire me on as a team member. And I would have been okay with that too, as long as you were going to pay me for the time to do that, if that's what you wanted me to do. But I'm going to be working for your agency, which means then there is a conflict of interest. That's where the confidentiality agreement comes in, where you cannot have like the same clients or communicate in any way or whatever the case may be for your agency with, you know, with our agency, this and that and blah, blah, blah. That part there, I then could see as a confidentiality agreement. But that's why I had to be careful, because I believe what they really wanted me to do was sit there and be on their team get all my clients, and then turn around and then brush me under the rug, and I was not going to do it. I seen it right in the flash of a minute, and I'm actually intuitive, so I know what I'm talking about when I'm speaking in these terms. The that might be a little bit of ego or show offness, but it's literally true. I can see it in a bright minute, and the hints, the red flags that come up, it literally is all about them. There's nothing neutral. So I am happy once again for my collaboration with Cameo Models. There is another collaboration I'm waiting to hear from. I'm not going to bring that collaboration up because I don't know the details of that particular situation right now. And as a matter of fact, I'm not sure if that even pertains to me as much as it does the other agency, but um, I'm gonna see where it goes. I'm supposed to have a meeting, but I honestly think that I like what uh, what Renee Lacey is able to do. She is a very smart woman. She works in very high integrity, and she is trusted by the clients that she works with. But you know, I just want to make it very, very clear and precise really how SL Models and Talent Agency LLC works when it does come to agency to agency. Now, other collaborations with company, they can be created in every which way as long as it's spelled out in an actual agreement. Like, I could even collaborate with another agency in saying, look, we could do it like this, we could do it like that. And then this is what you would be doing within the collaboration. Okay, that works because then two heads are better than one on that particular issue. But I do have a problem with someone who will try to take the lead, like try to brush me under the bus, so to speak, for their own agendas. That I would not agree to. And that's just because, A, if I'm already seeing issues and I'm discussing it with you, then I need to see those changed before anything else. And that's what was going on in California. They just, I'm not about that. There are some folks that realize that their information's more about conventions than it is about the agency, so they actually turned it into conventions and now are no longer the threat of being the scam like they used to be. I'm not going to mention the name to those companies either, but it is something that I could actually look into collaborating with because they have real actual contacts in things that I could be able to work with. But I would not be able to collaborate with companies that were what this whole hour and a half was about. I could not. I literally it was actually 2 weeks ago that I have gotten that collaboration quote unquote agreement, and I just kind of looked at it, and when I told them my piece and things like that, it really just went into the trash bin in the email. I mean, I did save a copy of it though, so that I could send it off to the lawyers on how this was presented to me. And I said, and I sent out a cease and desist to state that, this I was very aggressive with, because there were some very aggressive messages. I'm not talking about when someone messages you all the time, maybe they were confused about something or whatever. That's a different thing. I'm talking about like threatening messages and things like that say, like, I know where your agency is and I can report you, and basically I replied back and was like, well, you can report me. I ain't got nothing to hide. I got a 2-page agreement and I go right by it. Boom. I'm in a process right now of being accredited by the Better Business Bureau, and I actually know how that process goes. And it's almost as the same process with ATA Association. It's like for talent agencies. It's a union for talent agencies and talent agents. And they would actually go to the office to visit to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do. And they give you a certificate and everything, like, congratulations, you're now a signatory of, ATA or AMA or whatever. I mean, I know how these things work. And if you don't have any of those accreditations behind you, then, I give a benefit of the doubt, but I'm almost starting to wonder if I need to start adding that as a regulation. That I will work with agencies that are regulated by the and accepted by the associations of talent managers or talent agents or whatnot, and at least be recognized by the Better Business Bureau. And when I say recognized, that's a little bit different than accreditation. I think I've been recognized by the Better Business Bureau, but I've actually taken it a step further, and I'm actually going into the process of being accredited. Because why? When they see that I am passing the 5 or 7 levels of achievements that they have for their accreditation process, and some of it ain't easy, let me tell you. So you need to be sure that you're following the guidelines of the law. That's the very least that I can give you right now. And that's all that I can basically share. Again, this video is Contract Law 101, but I didn't give you the whole class. This class, Contract Law 101, is literally 18 weeks. It puts you through every single step of what the entertainment industry and the legalities of the entertainment industry, what it really means. Copyright laws, everything. So some of it you might actually know to an extent, but when it actually comes to how do you write a contract and what are the different types of partnerships and different types of agreements that you can create within business to business, and how they should be done and how they should read, because they have to be a smooth read. It's 18 weeks of instruction. So I think I'm going to empower myself to teach that class. If I do, just an upfront scenario, there is an investment, and when I get ready to teach this class, it's going to be about $1,600. We usually accept 30% up front, and then we end up doing either 4 equal payments, or we do 2 payments, or you could pay in full and save 20% off the total. So it'd be 20% of $1,600, be about $320. So if you pay it in full, it would actually be 1,600 minus 320, which is what, 87, 1320, 1380, 1480, somewhere's in there. No, it'd be 1380. No, I'm doing math in my head. I literally sound like the presidential candidate right now. It's 1280 is what you would be paying. Otherwise, you would be paying 2 payments, or like I said, 4 equal payments due each month. So that's that, and I'm also doing that under the benefit of the doubt. We would let you pay as you're taking the class. However, if you are late on the class payment, then until it's paid in full, you wouldn't be able to take another class. And I don't want to bring back the idea that you can pay 4 months and then take the class, but that's what I had to do at one point a few months ago for an online class that I did, because of the fact being that there was a lot of confusion. So I'm trying to be nice here, so if you could be nice with me, that would be great. And yeah, this would be for anyone that would want to know about contract law. This would be business owners that are just starting out business, or executive teams, like say the place that's in California that was trying to really put me in a spindle of their own agenda. I could literally, if they want to know contract law 101 and they end up seeing this video, perfect. I could work with you so that you can understand why it is that you gotten reported. I mean, and when I report, I'm going to be very blunt and honest here. When I report, I don't just go to the Better Business Bureau in the local county and start writing a thing. I actually go right to regulated business, right to the state officials, local officials as well, and I actually give them like an idea of what it is and how they can achieve to get the agreement. I sometimes now I know that a lot of people, they have this thing called confidentiality. But if you feel like you are being a threat for any reason, you can overturn that agreement as long as there is a lawyer present and there is mediation. So like if there was an issue between me and All Stars International, where we were agreeing to the collaboration, but then I've noticed that the collaboration was going sour, but because of the confidentiality agreement, I couldn't just technically take what I'm seeing and then send it to the official. I would actually have to have the officials request it, and then request a mediation in the court of law, because that's how you end up. I mean, and then if there's anything where I've lost money from it or whatnot, then you take it to arbitration for the suit. But you don't go that route without mediating first, because of the whole conflict, the conflict of interest in confidentiality agreement. So you got to make sure that in your confidentiality agreement, you have something in there that talks about mediation and then how arbitration works. If you don't have that in there, that confidentiality agreement, in all honesty, is almost void, with the potentiality of actually getting a an amendment that you can have that in there. And it's because it helps you more or less, so that when you're in the court of law, they will see if you have exercised your option in the process of what you have done before attending to the actual court. But that's a whole nother thing, and I have left a lot of stuff in between now. I'm giving you a whole lot in like less than 2 hours. So until tomorrow evening, I'm going to be bringing some good news to you of our happiness with Discover Me Showcase. I'm going to be reading all through that tonight and all that, but I will let everyone know about the collaboration as far as that is concerned. But we're getting close. We'll put it that way, because this is a whole lot more of a better situation. But I'm not afraid to call people out on their illegal games. I just not. If I see it, I try to mediate with it first, and then after that, I just have to be like, okay, like, I don't know what else to really do or say in this case. So that's where we're at right now. And I hadn't had any problems. We had. It's not like we just started talking. This collaboration in Richmond is actually one of the best collaborations that we are developing. So I will say that. Above all else, and we've been in SLMTA's been involved with all kinds of tricks with different agencies. This one has been the most straightforward thus far. And so, we're going to be keeping things moving and getting things right, making sure that there's no confusion anywhere or whatever, and we'll be good to go. So as far as this video is concerned, none of it is addressed to any of our positive collaborators. I was just sick and tired of, because I had another one that was emailed this past Friday. And I'm not sure if it's even from the same place, just with a different name or what. But the idea is that I now record it all, and then I let the feds research it and then go from there, because I don't have the time for that. And that's why I wanted to bring this 2-hour block to share with you guys Contract Law 101, because it's very important. It's very important. So until tomorrow night, got a whole lot of good news. A lot of links that I got to share with you and everything. I mean, so much good news. We're going to be having a 2-hour block just on the good news tomorrow night. So stay tuned to our special edition. Tonight was a special edition with SL Models and Talent Agency LLC relating to contract law and knowing the difference between legal and illegal business. Tomorrow night we'll be focusing on events, collaborations, and all the fun stuff in between. It'll be a 2-hour block special for that. Unleash the artist within and let your light shine. Fill yourself with confidence. Be courageous. Be real. That's what SLMTA is about. Being real. All right. Have a blessed night.